Hey guys, how's it going? Collin here from the WHOA GNV podcast. Look, I just wanted to kind of jump into this episode and lay out a vision for the future, if I may. When I started this podcast, I mean, it's crazy to think that it's been over 3 years. We're on episode 172. I can't believe that we've done 172 weeks of this, plus a bunch of coronavirus sessions and a bunch of other iterations throughout the process. It's been amazing. This is the only way I can describe it. I love this community. I love everything about this community, and that's why I did it. Right? I jumped into this podcast because I wanted to really contribute to building up this community. Now, obviously, since we've started this podcast, there's definitely been a lot of changes in the business climate, not only the business climate, but just the community climate, right? We've been through a lot. There's been a lot of obstacles and decisions that business leaders never thought they'd have to face, myself included, that we have had to face. Obviously, things with COVID, the pandemic, just that was one of the biggest challenges, the biggest challenge I've ever had to go through as a business owner, for sure. Recently, I feel like God has really put it on my heart to just get out of my comfort zone and navigate some tough conversations. If you're a believer like I am, we are called in Matthew 22:37-39 to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. My goal is to do exactly that. Too many people, I feel like, have gotten this digital courage within the Facebook comments or social media comments in general. They just have this digital courage, and there's just so much hate and so much bashing in these comments. And my goal is to really say, hey, look, let's get out of this climate, this very polarizing climate. Like, let's get out of that and let's get to know our neighbors again. Like, let's start to focus on building community and contributing to a greater vision for Gainesville. We may not always agree. And that's what's so great, right? Is that we live in the United States of America, and that is okay. We don't have to agree, but we can still love one another. And I'm going to do everything that I can to really get us back to that place. So here's what you can expect moving forward. You can expect more in-depth conversations about the topics that are important to you and to this community. I believe that you're going to see an evolution in this podcast, and I hope that it will bring significant impact to Gainesville. I always tell people that there's 2 words that describe my life personally. One is surrender, which is giving it all to God, giving it all to Jesus and saying, Lord, take it and do your will, work through me. And the other is freedom. Freedom is something that I absolutely cherish. And I'll be honest, I get worried, I get scared when I see some of the things that are happening in our country. And I think, man, are we slowly losing our freedom, and are we as a nation, as a people, okay with that? That's what we're here to find out. Are we going to still have conversations with business leaders and business owners and have some really cool things happening? We got some snakes coming on the show very soon. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of really cool things that still happen. We're still going to have those discussions. We're still going to get to meet awesome business owners, but I'm also going to push myself to get outside of my comfort zone and have the conversations that just make me uncomfortable, the ones that in a way I've kind of avoided through this pandemic, in order to, like I said, get to know our neighbors and really build Gainesville. If I can just get everybody to to respect one another and love one another, then great. It's there's a lot of things involved, right? A lot of politics. I've sat here and questioned, man, what if I say something that's one way? Will somebody not buy a scooter from me because they know of my political affiliation? I don't know. I guess that's a risk that I'm willing to take, simply because, and really I'm going to try to stay down the middle. In fact, I feel like I am down the middle in a lot of different things. That's certainly a risk that I'm willing to take. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So what I would say is that if you live in the area, or if you have something that you feel should be talked about, I invite you to reach out to me. we're giving you a platform. We're giving you the opportunity to have real conversations, much like the one that I think we're about to have today. Today on the show, we have Bubba Ennis, Lieutenant Paramedic with Gainesville Professional Firefighters. Bubba is in his 26th year as a firefighter and has also been teaching at the Florida State Fire College in Ocala for the last 14 years. Bubba, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Collin. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm excited to jump into this. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest. But like I said, I want to get outside of my comfort zone a little bit on this. We're Facebook friends. I saw some stuff that you were posting really related to vaccine mandates, right? And really being opposed to vaccine mandates. And so I kind of just wanted to dive into this. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your perspective. And then I'll just ask some questions from there. So, why is this so important to you?
Well, for me personally, the reason that I felt the way as strongly as I did was the way that it was brought about. One reason was there was no warning, there was no hey heads up, there was no hey let's talk about this or anything like that. It was just one day the city had a meeting and without discussing anything with our union or anything like that, they just came out with, hey, you now have to get vaccinated or fired, just out of the blue. And for us, that's a huge. And that was for all city employees, but that was kind of step number one that we kind of have a problem was hey, this is something that really should be discussed, and it wasn't. It was just a unilateral move without any discussion. So once that come down, we're like, okay, well, obviously they're going to sit down and talk to us about this, and that was the first part that we had a problem with. So when the unions came to them and said, "Hey, this is something that changes," that's it's a pretty much a spot that has to be bargained because you're now changing the conditions of my employment. And we have guys guys and girls that have been with us for at that point we have people that are 20 years about to retire, in their low 20s, mid 20s, and brand new. And here it is, they're about to come to the end of their career and collect their retirement. And now all of a sudden, just out of the blue, you put this on them to where they have to make this decision. So that was kind of the big thing that we had about it. Once we did, come to them and say, hey, well, let's discuss this. There wasn't any movement on it. There was no discussion to be had, and that was the part where it's like, all right, now we're infringing on benefits and on rights at that point. And for me, when it comes to rights, I feel everybody has their own different look at it. For me, the rights that we have in this country were based off of the rights that God gave us as human beings, and that's what I hold dear. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why us as America, we as Americans, we really hold that something to be true. Just for the plain fact that it wasn't something that was given to us by government, so it's not something they can take away. It was given to us by God, and by His grace is why we have those rights. So whenever it comes to things like that, I find it hard whenever governments want to step in and try to take that charge, at least without some kind of democracy to it. And so we had a push with that, and we started working that avenue, and it just it seemed like it was going to be a hard fight ahead, and we had to go through and my father worked for Gainesville Fire Rescue, and they always say that every generation kind of has its battle, and I believe that this was ours, and that's something that I felt strongly about, and I felt like this was the hill that you go and you die on. You pick up the flag and you charge the hill, and either people are going to turn around and come with you or they're not. But either way, I was willing to step on that hill and stand up there and hold to what I believe was to be true, and that was the status I took.
So, I feel like it was early September. Like, when did this really start going down in terms of like the whole
It was August.
mandates. It was August. It really is that early, huh?
Yeah, it was late August, and it was like I said, it was a meeting that we didn't know that this thing was coming up, and all of a sudden, boom, it happened.
How are you guys notified?
We received an email with the mandate in it.
And it just said you had to receive the first injection, second injection by X date. Otherwise,
Correct.
you face being terminated. Like, what did this email say?
Progressive discipline, which, if you go by the progressive discipline, then it would have been a suspension and then termination after that.
So, I think a lot of people are just saying, okay, well, why not just get the vaccine?
And I get that. And we have, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe even our department itself, I think, is somewhere in a 70% that are already vaccinated voluntarily. When the vaccine first came out, we were giving them out. And so we had first shot to be able to get some. And, people that wanted them, took them. Now, that's their choice, and that's fine. I couldn't even tell you who in my department has a vaccine and doesn't have the vaccine. Like, that's how often we don't talk about that amongst ourselves. We're a family, and, it's something that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me whether you're vaxxed or whether I'm vaxxed. That none of that matters. That's just like one of the things that I posted during that time was, I went to a pen job, and which is a vehicle extrication. And so we're extricating somebody out of a vehicle who's in need, and nowhere in that exchange of us, getting them out of the vehicle, removing the vehicle from around them, did they ask if I was vaccinated, nor did I ask them if they were, because that's not the point right then. And so,
who cares?
Yeah,
you're there to help them. You're there to save their life, right?
Yeah, that's not my worry. Our job is inherently dangerous. Every piece of equipment we have says that our job is inherently dangerous. Life itself is inherently dangerous. So we take risk every single day. Every single day you wake up and you walk outside, you take risk. In our job, we add to that risk every single day. We've been responding in this chaos ever since it started. We've responded in the chaos of every sickness, disease, breakout, natural disaster, whatever you want to call it and whatever you want to name it. Things that happen every single day, we're there. And we don't shy away from that or step away from that. So there's never nothing that stops us from being able to do our job. So we have fire equipment that protects us and fire stuff when we need it. We have emergency medical equipment that we wear to be able to protect us from diseases and things like that. So, we know how to don and doff this stuff. We know how to properly wear it. We know how to keep ourselves safe. And we also know what's there whenever we make that error and what that risk is. And we're always going to take that risk. That's what we do. When we put our right hand up, it was to save lives and property. It wasn't to protect myself first and then protect somebody else. It was to take care of others first, even if that meant the demise of mine. And I had never had any problem with that. And most people that do this job don't either.
You said something that just made me think, going back a year ago, everybody was like praising first responders. It was like, oh, you guys are the heroes, the doctors, the nurses, the firefighters. Right. Everybody's on the front lines. You guys are the heroes. And it feels like that narrative has definitely changed a lot. It's like, it's almost like I don't want to say like they're being thrown aside, but it's like you were the heroes a year ago, but right. Now because you choose not to get vaccinated, it's like, oh, we're done with you.
Right. Right.
That's my perception.
Yes.
Is that your perception? What do you see? Because this has been a thing. Like I'm seeing videos from police stations, from all across the country where people are doing I saw police officers last night in their cars doing their final sign-offs because they refused to get vaccinated.
Right. And
they're giving their final sign-off. When you see this stuff happening across the country, what's going through your mind?
Well, the first thing is that one, the first thing I think is how proud I am of our brothers and sisters in our local union, 2157, that, us along with some other employees from other companies, that we stood up together and voiced our opinion, stood up for our rights, and our commission, decided to change that and have a discussion with us. And that's great. So we're actually moving in the right direction, and so that's a good thing that we were actually able to make a stand and actually get our voices heard.
So is it going to stop? I mean, is
for
like
us, I mean, we don't know. We're in the negotiation phase of that, of where that stands. But as far as everybody else and everything that's going on out there, like I see that, and you know, I hurt for those people, because it's kind of like, to me, when you watch some of these other constitutional movies, you know, and you see where somebody's getting their rights taken away, and you're hoping for them, and you know, you're with them, feels like you're there with them the whole time in a movie. You know, you want the right thing to happen, and then sometimes it just doesn't, you know, and you know, it depends on what they're trying to do. I mean, some people, like I said, some people, if you even talk about it, they leave, and that's what they can, you know, that's their right, and that's what they can do. Some people are being forced out. I don't believe it's right. I don't think it's right if you're in this country and you're an American citizen, if you're a human being, for somebody to dictate to you of what you're going to put in your body when you're at a position that you can actually make that choice. Some people say, oh, well, what about the vaccines when you're a kid? Well, I didn't make that choice. You know, my parents made that for me. That was their thing. I obviously was not at an age where I can make that choice. I'm at that age now, and I'm an adult now, and I get to choose, as well as for my kids, what I think is in their best interest and what's in mine. Even when we go to patients in the medical world, in the fire world, the EMS world, we still have very fine lines that we can treat somebody depending on how they feel. As long as they're a right body, sound, and mind, then we can, you know, we can't just kidnap somebody. I can't just be like, hey, listen, I think you should go to hospital, so you're going. That's not the way it works. If they say no and they know everything that's going on, and they understand the risk and they don't want to go, I can't force them to go. So what makes this any different? But for us, it's like I said, it's not, you can take the vaccine out and you can put anything you want into that spot. You can put anything you want there, be like, you have to do this or you're fired. Either way, without going through our bargaining unit, that's a change in my conditions of employment, and that has to be bargained. Because when I signed a contract, that wasn't what was in it, and we redo contracts every 3 years when we go through renegotiations. So, you know, whenever you change something like that, you know, where does it stop at that point? You know, they can come out and say, somebody can come out and say, hey, I hear that firefighters have a 80% higher chance of having high blood pressure, which we do. And they're like, oh, well, there's a new blood pressure medicine out that's going to say that your blood pressure won't go high. We just want everybody just to take it. Whether you got high blood pressure or not, we want you to take it just in case you ever do get it. Well, maybe I don't want that. You know what I mean? So it's at what point does it stop if we allow this? And we don't want that to grow. So it's like I said, you found yourself at that hill to where, you know, when you start looking at where this could lead, then, you know, you had to head to the top.
Where do you think it can lead?
Like I said, at that point, once you allow something like that, I mean, they can put anything down on you. Yeah, I mean, they can say that they fear of anything and start making decisions based off of that, which is a lot of what I feel happens a lot nowadays anyway. And we all know that fear is the worst place to make a decision in. Whenever you're in fear, we usually make pretty bad decisions unless it's something you're trained to do. So usually decisions in fear are not going to be very positive.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the term, you know, and I've said this before, I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm anti-vaccine mandate.
Yep, same for me. Same for me. I'm not anti-vaccine. I believe in a lot of vaccines. I've got my children the vaccines I feel they need. But at the same time, I also felt, along with my wife, that, you know, hey, we don't want to go to the doctor's office and they're like, hey, we're going to do 6 shots today. No, we're not. We're going to do 1, and then a couple months later we'll do another, and so on. We'll spread them out because we believe that there's enough out there for us to make us question enough that, hey, maybe it's not good to pile this stuff on. Maybe it is good to separate it out. And that's just what we want for our child. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the American way. We can do as we please, how we want to move. So, you know, it's the same thing. I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to get this vaccine. I just had to look at, for me, you know, personally, one, the part of changing my conditions of employment, taking somebody who's been here the whole entire time doing this, sacrificing everything, being away from his family a lot. The overtime was insane at that point. and everybody, was working their tail off, and everybody's sacrificing time away from families, and we were doing the protocols that we had in place to do, and they were working fine. And at that point, nobody said that we were going out killing people. Once all of a sudden this vaccine push came, then all of a sudden it was, if you're not vaccinated, now you're out there killing people. And how much
did that affect your decision to not get vaccinated?
That made it worse, and especially for a lot of other people.
I think that was like one of the big keys there, because I know a lot of people who are kind of on the fence, right? They're kind of on the fence, and then they're doing research, they're talking to people within their circle, they're talking to their doctor, they're trying to get information,
right.
And then all of a sudden you start hearing about like mandating it across the country, and you hear about organization, and it was almost like whoa,
right?
It's like, we're gonna let, like, it was almost like everything just shifted to where it was like people feel like they're being bullied now. They're being told what they have to do.
Right.
And there's just a rebellious nature. And a lot of us was like,
yes.
Whoa, no. You're not going to tell me what I have to do.
Right. That's the American way.
Yeah. And I think that led to where we're at today. I mean, it felt like we were just being bullied.
Yeah, and there was a lot. There was people that felt that way. Even all the people that we have in the department and in the city that I know of that were vaccinated, they stood behind the same thing. Hey, I believe in the vaccine. I got vaccinated, but I don't believe in the mandate. Nobody should get fired and lose their job and their employment and everything else because of it. And it kind of, like I said, for me, it started with the rights thing, and then the second part comes down to effectiveness and what are we doing this for? Like, what are we trying to get out of this? And that was the part to where for me personally, I'm like, all right, well that gets a little hazy, because if you're telling me that I'm getting it, that I need to have it for my own personal safety, because it helps me if I get it and my symptoms go away or not be as bad, then that's fine. I get it. Thank you for your concern, but that's still my choice, just like any other medicine that I take out there, right?
Yeah, so why is the push so hard?
I don't know. I can't answer. I don't know. Somebody knows, but I don't know what that answer is. But it's like,
I feel like it's gotten so far beyond being a vaccine and being something that helps people to now just being something that's completely political.
Yeah, it feels that way. I mean, I'm sure there's at some point something's going to come out to where maybe there are other ones that are supposed to be made. Maybe there's one that actually stops you from getting it, stops you from spreading it.
The question that I keep going to people with, I'm like, if you're vaccinated, why are you afraid of me if I'm not?
Right. Well, why am I afraid of you either way?
And so for me, it's like a lack of faith in the vaccine, because if I'm vaccinated, you shouldn't, if it works, if it does its job, you shouldn't get sick if I had COVID, right?
Yeah.
But what we've discovered is that, and maybe this is the fact, like, I don't know, but like, one, if you have COVID, and this is the other thing, like if you have COVID, if you have the vaccine, you can still get COVID,
right,
and you can still spread it. Those things are facts now. Like, that's not anything that we're...
Yeah, the only thing I've heard, the only other argument I heard to that is that your chances of getting it are less, and your chances of spreading it are less. That's, like I said, that's one side to tell you that, one side to tell you it doesn't matter either way. But either way, at the end of that argument is still, you can still get it and you can still spread it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's when I got back to the point of, well, what I'm here to protect the community, and I put my life on the line to do it every single day. Been doing it for a long time, and that's a passion and a way I made. Most firefighters we're not firefighters just when we're at work. We're that all the time.
Right.
That's always on my mind. It's always what we're doing, always what we're thinking. Every move we make is a capacity of that. And when it comes to protecting the community, if you tell me, hey, this vaccine right here is 100%, you will not get it, which means 100% you will not spread it to somebody you're going to, you got me. I'll go get the vaccine. I got no problem at all with that, because now I'm doing something that I swore that I'd do to protect. But if that's not gonna be the case, then me personally, I don't want to put something into my system that I'm not 100% comfortable with yet. And it doesn't matter that, hey, this person took it and everything was fine, or hey, this person took it and they had a bad reaction. None of that matters, because when it all comes down to it, everybody likes to say we're all equal. We're not. We're not all equal, right? That's a beautiful thing that God did with us. We're all one just with Him. We're all unique. We all have different things. We react differently to different things. Nobody's the exact same. The only thing that we should have is equal rights. We're not equal people. Some people are mean, some people are nice. There's nothing about us that's always going to be the exact same. So, and I get it, and I love the percentage arguments and debates of things like that. But when it comes down to it, you can have all them debates you want, but it comes down to you and what matters to you. Because somebody says, oh, well, only 1 out of 1 million or so, let's say, dies from something. Well, that doesn't seem like a big deal unless you're the one, right? If I'm the one, that's a big deal. That affects my wife. That affects my kids. So yeah, I got to make that decision on both sides of the fence. Do I want to be the one that has the reaction, or I want to be the one that gets the virus and dies from it, from some other complication or something? So I have to weigh that personally. It's not for somebody else sitting behind somewhere to tell me. The other problem I had personally was I had people that 28 years old, and worked themselves into, a political position, telling me, a 44-year-old male who spent 26 years in the fire service, second generation. My mother's been an infectious disease nurse for over 30 years, and they're going to tell me what they think is medically best for me, and I don't know. I have a hard time swallowing that pill. If anybody wants to know what's going to happen in my realm, then they come and ask me, because I'm going to make my own medical judgments, because I'm the subject matter expert to me. And, so I had a hard time with that too. These are decisions that I make all the time. So to me, this is nothing new.
As I absorb everything that you just said, right? Like, one of the things that stuck out to me was, for me, I'm big. Actually, I posted on Facebook today. I said something about like redefining your definition of success. Like, try having success equal peace.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm a big proponent of, like, right now, like, everything in my life, even though there's a lot of chaos out in the world, like, I've been very calm, cool, collective, and just at peace, and I know that has a lot to do with my faith and, being in the Word every single day, and that has certainly helped. And my perspective is very much the same as, I'm like, if you're at peace by getting the vaccine, then you should get it.
Yes.
If you're at peace by not getting the vaccine, then you should not get it. And that's just where I'm at personally. Yeah. Like, I'm very much like, be at peace. Right. So now, do you know anybody like in your circle, or like, do you know anybody who is like pro mandate that's like, no, we should absolutely mandate this across the board? Do you know anybody? Like, have you had a conversation? I'm kind of curious, I
haven't had a conversation with somebody. I know of a couple of people.
Okay.
I personally have had that conversation with them because,
you have or haven't?
Haven't.
Okay.
Because, that's, like I said, I respect their opinion just as much as I respect somebody respect mine. And, they can have it. And that's fine. If they feel that way about it, that's fine. Because I'm like you, man. I find peace in God and, my family and my job. Them are the three things that, if everybody leaves me alone, keep me in peace with that, and nothing disrupts that, then I'm the happiest man alive. You try to distort any one of those, then I have a problem, because now you're messing with the way that my life runs. And with this, with the whole pandemic, I'm like you. I leave everything to God, and I just continue to pray to Him every day and ask for that guidance. Same thing with my family. And me and my wife are on the same page with that. And that's something that we've done through this whole entire thing. I pray for my kids every single day. I pray for my kids' health every single day since the day they were born. You know, whether it was, you know, before this pandemic, I don't want them to have the flu. I don't want to have anything. There was 2 days out of the year, especially at the very beginning, was the only time that I just said, hey, I get it, they're going to get sick. Let's just not make it too bad. And that was the first day of school every single time until we got immunity built up. Because you know how them are going to be. You know, they're going to come home, snotty noses, coughs, you know, and that's the immunity build part. And you know that's going to happen. But after that, nobody wants to see anything bad happen to their family or kids. So, you know, you pray about that all the time. And that is where, you know, in this whole thing, when it all started to happen, that was one of the gut-wrenching parts for me is I was faced with the job that I love and the person I am because of it and losing that. The biggest fear I had was if I do go on that hill and I lose this, then who am I without the fire service? Because I don't know who Bubba Ennis is without the fire service. I don't know who that guy is. So that's a scary future to look at. So I thought to myself, hey, well, you know what? Push comes to shove, you go and get it. But every time I would say that to myself, my stomach would turn and I would get nauseous. And to me, that was the Lord saying, that's hey, you're not comfortable, don't do this. And that was interrupting the peace that you're talking about. You know, I wasn't at peace with thinking about getting that shot. I was at peace when I thought about, hey, I'm just not going to do it.
It's because your hand would be forced at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people like on video that are getting the shot and they're like literally holding a sign saying that the only reason that they're doing it, they're like recording themselves and they're saying the only reason that they're doing this is so that they can keep their livelihood.
Right.
And that's crazy to me.
That is. It's a weird. I mean, that's a weird time. It's
get a shot feeling. Or provide for your family.
Right. That's a weird feeling. And people bring up, well, you submitted to a background check and a drug test whenever you come in. Well, that's pre-employment for one. So I wasn't employed at that point. So that's an option. But even background checks, you still have to consent to one of those. You know, so you know there was no consent to any of this. This was you will, and you know when you look at the way anything is written, the words you will in any kind of contract or anything are usually pretty knife cutting words. You know, because you can't go against that, and you know so I'm a big believer in words matter, and you know the way you say them and the way you use them matters. And so I don't like it when people use certain words and they, well, that's not what I meant, or that's not what I was trying to say. Well, I can't. I have to hold you to what the words you actually said, because that's the only thing that's going to matter if anything comes push to shove. So you know when it came to that, that's where it was at. Is you know the terminology in it. Whenever they put this out, the part of the mandate was also that no employee could leave the City of Gainesville or Alachua County on official business without being fully vaccinated. Well, the building collapse happened.
What, down in Miami?
Or no, that building collapse before that. Yep. Yeah, we were at the building collapse before the mandate. We were at the building collapse. The first time in history that all Florida USAR teams were on the same site at one time. First time ever in history. All right, 8 USAR teams, all there at the same time. It's never happened before. We spent a little over 7 days there. I mean, like I said, with teams from all over the state, you know, shoulder to shoulder, crawling through rubble, you know, sleeping quarters very, very close. Then we had FEMA teams coming in from Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, all these other places. And not once did anybody mention COVID. Not once was there a COVID test or any of that until one day when the president was coming in. That morning, they actually pulled us off searching on the pile to make us go get tested for that one day.
When the president was coming.
Yep, and that was the only day that it mattered. And we had already been there, I think, 5 days at that point anyway.
So what goes through your mind when that happens?
That you're stopping me from doing my mission right now for something that if it didn't matter 4 days ago, it doesn't matter now. And you know we've all been around each other working 12, 13-hour shifts. You know, as hard as we can. This is probably some of the hardest work I've ever done, especially in a short period of time. And now all of a sudden you're actually getting pulled off of that mission to go and waste an hour or two to do that. So it's the when and where, like I said, becomes a problem to where you start looking at, well, what are we trying to do? I'm all about moving forward. I'm all about, doing what's right. I'm all about doing the safest thing. But things still have to have a reason and a purpose. Passion is good, but focused passion is better. Blind passion is probably going to lead us into a place where we're not making good decisions, because we're basing that decision strictly off of just straight passion without listening to other things. So I believe it has to be focused. And, I feel like we lose that sometimes. It's one of them deals where, I'm glad that at least we are on the front side of this now. And hopefully moving forward, I'm good for taking appropriate measures, looking for symptomatic things, testing, all that kind of stuff. That's perfectly fine. We do that kind of stuff beforehand with flu and stuff like that. Somebody calls in and says they're sick, or if they all of a sudden start feeling sick at work, if they're running temperature, we send them home. Everybody else goes get checked. I mean, this is stuff that we've done before this. So I always felt like we were always in a good position to do that. There's no reason to come at us with the mandate. And like I said, there was just a lot of things systematically, and the way they try to introduce it was wrong. It made you feel blindsided and nobody cared about you, and for somebody who is giving it all for something, and then all of a sudden somebody does that to you, you don't feel like they care about you anymore, and that kills morale. That hurts morale pretty bad.
Yeah, it's got to be super sinking feeling,
Yep.
This has been good. So I'm actually trying to find some organizations and just people who are like pro mandate, because I want to have the other conversation. I want to hear the other side, So, with this push from the federal government to have organizations like require vaccinations for their employees, in private entities, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what would you say to those private entities? Like, what would your advice be, or what would your advice be to the people who are kind of in your shoes, just at a private company?
They gotta do what's good for them. The first thing I tell them to do is pray about it. That's always the best thing to do. And outside of that, you got to do what's good for you. And everybody has to. And I feel like if everybody does that, if everybody will go back to worrying about themselves, worry about their relationship with the Lord, and their relationship with their families, our relationship as communities. And if we do what we feel is good for you, and give that person respect for that, and let people just be themselves, you'll find that most things are going to go good. It's a scary thing. It's a touchy thing right now, and that's only because I feel like it's been allowed to get that way. It's been allowed to blow up into a weapon, so to speak, that some people like to say. But it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be, because this is the one where everybody says there's always two sides of the fence, and this is one where there truly is. There truly is people dying from this. That happens. Yes, that happens. But there's also 99% of people that are not. So you got to feel of which one feels better for you. Everybody has a instinct, and it's either going to be fight or flight. And you're not taught that. That's what you're born with. If you want to change it, you can learn how to do that. There's ways to learn how to change your response, which is something that we do. We change. We have people that not everybody's a fighter. Some people, their first reaction is to run back, analyze, and then start making decisions from there. And we got ways that we try to change that for people, because in our jobs we can't run back. We have to be foot forward. So it's we got to make decisions while we move, and that's kind of what this is. And you got to, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in the 99 or do you see yourself in the 1? And wherever you see yourself is the one that matters. Because if 99 people get the vaccine and none of them have a problem, and I'm the 101, and let's say I'm one of the rare cases and that they say, and I have some kind of heart condition come out of it, some kind of myocarditis or something come out of it, to where I can no longer function in my job. Well, to the other 99 people, they're all gonna they'll have sympathy for me, right? They'll be like, oh, that really sucks, man. That's horrible for you. But I have to live with it. I lose my job. I lose the only thing I know. I mean, what does that do for me and my family? So it's like you can't look at it as, you can't push people off to be like, hey, that hardly ever happens. But that if it happens to that person, it means something, right? Because they're the 100%, so to speak. Because for them, that's all they know, Same thing when it's if you look at it with chances of rain, it's 5% chance of rain. Well, somebody in that 5%, it's 100% chance of rain for them that day, right? Because they're in the 5%, But nobody else that didn't get the rain doesn't complain about that. So they don't force people to run around with umbrellas even though it's not raining. So it's one of them deals where it's just like, let's let people be on their own. Let people make decisions for themselves. The ones who can't, whoever's in charge of that will make the best informed decision they can for them. But I think if we do that, we'll be able to talk to each other more. If we can respect each other's decision and where they are, and meet people where they're at. Stop trying to pull people, tug of war, one side or the other.
Do you think that we'll be able to get people outside of social media having discussions about this again?
Man,
I get on social media, and I used to be so pro social media. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was my livelihood. I absolutely loved it. Yeah. And then, man, last year and a half, I've withdrawn a lot. Yeah. I mean, really, besides releasing this podcast pretty consistently, I've withdrawn.
Right.
It's just so much hate, not enough empathy. Just, it sucks. Yeah. It sucks. And the thing that I know about social media, I mean, there's all these documentaries that everybody should go watch. What was that one? The Social Dilemma. But there's a couple others. But I mean, it's, the one thing that I know about social media is that, it continues to feed you what you want to see. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, if you're observing content that is specifically, that of extreme conservative, mm-hmm. then that's all you're going to see. And you're not going to see the other perspective. And because their goal is just to keep you on the platform, keep you on the platform, right. Keep you on the platform, feed you ads, and it's just that, right? And so where there was a lot of crossover, you had your blue and your red, right? There's a lot of crossover. Now, because of social media, it's really getting separated. You see these two hills really pulling apart, and that's just unfortunate, man. Yeah. It's just unfortunate because what I've discovered is that by having more conversations with people and being like, I don't agree with you on that, but I see your perspective and I see where you're coming from, and I still love you and I still respect you. Right. And that's kind of where I'm hoping that we can go with this show. Right. And who knows? I guess time will tell, right? But these are the things that are being discussed in the community. I'm rebellious by nature. I'm a risk taker by nature. As an entrepreneur, I'm kind of when everything started coming out, I'm like, cool. You do you. I'm going to take my chances. Right. And I tell everybody, I'm like, you know what? I've been on the showroom floor ever since I had to be. Right. I mean, since. When did we really? I mean, it was June of 2020. I was as soon as we had a couple months of shutdown, then I got back on the showroom floor in June of 2020, and then I've been working on the showroom floor. I've been around college students, right. Day in, day out, no mask, and I'm not saying I'm immune or anything, but I'm saying I've been fine, right. And I'm willing to take that risk. I got to show up and work because I got to provide for my family. I've told so many people, I'm like, as hard as this year and a half has been as an entrepreneur, I've gone through hell, gone to hell and back as an entrepreneur. Right. I'm so grateful to be an entrepreneur right now, because I would hate for somebody to be able to dictate to me or tell me that I have to do something in order to keep my job.
Right.
And I'm definitely, I've been just, praising Jesus, like, Lord, thank you. Like, this has been super tough, but I'm grateful that I get to make the decisions. I'm not going to force anybody here to do something that they don't want to. In fact, like, even with the mask, I'm from the mask standpoint, like, I've used a lot of common sense. Mm-hmm. This is what I told my team. I'm like, guys, so the city of Gainesville has put out this mask mandate. I watch you. I watch you. They're changing oil. They're mechanics.
Right.
They're changing oil. They're spraying toxic chemicals on scooters, and they have their gloves on, right? And they get all this grease and grime and all sorts of stuff on their gloves. And then I see them touch their mask, and it falls below their nose. And what do? They grab it,
yep.
And they pick it up above their nose. And they take these masks off, and they're black. And they're like, the masks are black. And I'm like, breathing that in all day cannot be healthy.
Right.
So what do? I'm like, hey, you guys are 20 feet apart back here. I mean, they got so much space in this warehouse. I'm like, if you want to not wear a mask, fine. If you're going to wear a mask, no problem. Do you.
Right.
Do what makes you feel the safest and most comfortable. No judgment from me. Right. And I don't know. I just, like, we've definitely lost that. Like, there's not enough of this having the ability to choose anymore.
Right.
So I don't know. I get a little fiery there at the end. but I'm a big proponent of, like, do what's best for you, man. Do what's best for you.
Yeah. And,
like,
and that's how the fire service is.
People have told me, like, they're like, yeah, like, I'm vaccinated, cool. Like, I'm happy for you.
Right.
Like, if you're at peace because of it, great.
Yep. I mean, my father's stage 4 colon cancer, same deal. He's like, hey, should I get vaccinated? He's one of them, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do type of people. And I told him, I was like, yeah, you should. Not because not because I know it's not going to stop me from giving it to you or the kids or something like that. But it's if it helps his symptoms, which it seems like there's enough evidence on that, then yeah, get it for you. If it makes you feel safer, feel better, get it, man. That's perfectly fine. My mother's the same way. She has some heart conditions. She becomes somebody who's in that statistic. So she went and got it. There's nothing wrong with that. I monitored them both very closely whenever they did it. To make sure kept checking on them, make sure everything's good. So far, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not going to hold that against them. And I'm glad that they did it for where they're at. But I'm healthy as can be. That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on at our fire department, and we're a lot of healthy people, and I believe that my immune system, after all these years of being around the worst stuff that you can be around for the last 26 years, I'm good to go. I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever's that's coming at me, and if not, hey, I'll go get treated. And if it goes the other way, opposite, and I fall into the statistic, hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. I can't run around trying to be safe in a world that's inherently dangerous. It's not gonna. I might as well not even leave the house, and that becomes dangerous.
Does it bother you that people would have like this "I told you so" mentality? Like,
it's human nature, man. Human nature. It's always going to be there, no matter what you do, no matter what topic you're talking about. That's always going to be there. Always. That's we'll never get away from that.
Yeah.
But just because you say that doesn't mean you're right. So sometimes things aren't just black and white and right or wrong. Sometimes it's a what might be right for you is not right for this or for that person. Situations are dependent on what's actually right and what that person feels is morally right. And for me, that's kind of where I was at. I was at this is not morally right to me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have reached that point of where they were exploring, they were trying to decide what was best for them. And then, you start hearing the word mandate, you start hearing, and I know we talked about it a few minutes ago, right? But I think that's been a big factor for sure. Yeah. Because a lot of people are like, well, no. Right. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do, and like you said, like, people are choosing that this is the hill that they're going to die on. Yeah. You're not going to pin them to the ground and inject their arm,
Right?
Right? Like they're just not going to let it happen.
Right.
And this this dream that the Biden administration has of I think they said 98% of people vaccinated. It's just not going to happen. Not unless you are walking around and physically forcing it into people's
98
arms.
is even a better number. I mean, I've heard 100% from a lot of people. Hey, everybody has to be 100%. You're never going to get 100% of anything, no matter what it is. You can throw anything you want out there. You're never going to get 100% of anything. You can give you. I mean, I've been in classes where the teacher sat right out there and gave you every answer to all 25 questions of the quiz. And then you went and took the quiz, and not everybody got 100. So, I mean, it's almost impossible to get nowadays, to where you're not going to get 100% of anything, where you're setting yourself up for failure if you try to put something out like that. So you have to be, which one good thing in our stand in our discussions that they realize is that, hey, maybe 100%, maybe that's a little too far. Maybe we need to be about 70, 75%, maybe 80. Maybe 80 is a good mark. And so
that's the thing that everybody keeps talking about, I keep hearing the term they keep moving the goalposts. They keep moving the goalposts,
yeah.
right? It's I feel like 70% is what I heard when it first started coming out. And I know a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine who are like, oh man, I'm so glad that this vaccine's coming out, because the people who want to get it can get it, and they'll feel safe, and everything will be fine, and we can all go back to normal.
Right.
And here we are.
It's not.
In October, the furthest thing from normal I can imagine.
Right. It's because this is the most we don't know about something that we keep saying that we know everything about. It's funny because they tell you, oh, well, you got to do it because we don't know enough about it. But then when you say, well, I don't want it, then they're like, well, you need to get it because we know a lot about it. And it's like, well, which one are we? We're confused in ourselves. Just we pick whichever side's helping whatever statement we're making at that time. Yeah. And like I said, when things are like that, I like to sit back and take things in. And like I said, I'm not anti-vaccine on anything. But I'm not in a rush either.
Right. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for talking. I know this is specifically your point of view, that you're not necessarily representing anybody out there, and but still, it's great to hear your point of view. And and before we wrap up, I'll just put this out there: if you work for the city, or if you're a leader with a different viewpoint and would like to come on and discuss it, reach out to me. My email is Collin at WHOA GNV.com. And I think we just got to keep the discussion going. I think we got to hear the various viewpoints. We got to realize that Bubba's a great guy, and then we got to realize that whoever wants to mandate the vaccine within their organization is probably also a really great person. And they have their reasons for doing it, and we just need to hear it. We need to understand it. We need to have more empathy for each other. We need to get to know our neighbors, you guys, and realize that, again, it might not be what I would have done, or it might not be my viewpoint, but I can still love you and still respect you. And that's really where I want to go with this. Don't let the Facebook comments or Instagram stories, the comments and DMs be the only place you're talking about these things. I'm a big, when it comes to, for me personally, I'm going to my inner circle, right? I'm talking to my close friends, to my family, and I'm saying, hey, I saw this. Well, what are your thoughts on this? What's your perspective on this? Get out of the hate that happens in social media. Thanks, man.
Not a problem.
Thanks for coming on. And thanks to the team that makes this possible. We got James Leitner, who puts on this beautiful production, and Sarah Lentz. Lean over here and say hi, Sarah.
Hello.
We got Trinity here tonight. All right, this one. So we got Trinity, Gianna, and Noah, our interns, who have been a huge help. And you guys, thanks so much for listening. This is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Give us your best whoa.
Whoa.
We'll see you later. Bye.